What's up, Crown Nation? Welcome to Rock the Crown. And today we have a special one-on-one for you. We're going to introduce our special guest, but of course, Nefertari, our Queen Nefertari and Queen Nafisa are here with our special guest, and we are going to get right into it because this music has us right. And we're going right into the one-on-one, and we are so happy that you all are here with us tonight. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
All right, y'all. As Naima said, we just really want to welcome you guys this evening. We have the beloved Bilal and Shaeeda with us this evening. They are one of the new couples being showcased on 90 Day Fiance. We are really excited to have you all on tonight. Welcome, Bilal and Shaeeda.
Hi, welcome. Assalamualaikum.
Excited to be here. Yes, we are definitely happy to have you. And just to give you a little bit of background about Bilal and Shaeeda, Bilal, he is a real estate redeveloper. He is also a national speaker. He's got background as a firefighter, as well as he holds a degree in health and exercise science. And he born and raised in Kansas City, Missouri. And Shaeeda is from where? Trinidad. That's right. And so we're going to talk about how they got connected. And Shaeeda, she also has a background in education. She has her BA in English literature. She majored in that. And she's also certified in yoga. So I know a lot of people have seen her do her thing. So she could talk to us a little bit about that later as well. And so Bilal and Shaeeda, just give us a little bit of information and tell us, how did you guys meet?
You want to go first? We met online. I always give thanks to social media because I think it was on Instagram. We were Instagram friends first, then we became Facebook friends. And it all started just friendship. It wasn't nothing serious, but I always found he was cute and attractive. And we started to like each other's pictures and comment on each other's posts and stuff. And I think I got bold because I felt like, okay, he's a nice guy, and I feel like he's been liking my pictures and commenting really nice, sweet stuff, So I decided to ask him one day if he is single, if he has anyone in his life. And luckily, he was like, "No, I'm not seeing anyone." So I was just like, "Well, you wanna pick it from there?" It happened so instantly, like it was meant to be.
Wow, that's something. It's not all the time that women kind of take that position. So that was pretty bold of you to just go ahead. Because I know one thing that I hear from Bilal on the show is that Shaeeda is shy. So that had to be a big step for you, right?
Let me just put it out there. I don't be in brothers' DM messaging them. It was a bet with my girlfriend on my 35th birthday. She was like, promise me you'll go home and send him a message. And I was like, I don't go in brothers' DM. She was like, sometimes I have to take risks. And I felt like, I took the risk and it turned out to be positive.
That's awesome. So Bilal, how did you feel about that when she reached out?
Yeah, I was surprised, because we said we kind of knew each other, but didn't know each other. She out of the blue one time reached out about just asking me a question about something that was related to what she was going on, some modeling stuff. And I was like, that was pretty cool for her to to ask me for some advice because I was in business, etc. So, and then I don't know, I was pretty surprised. I was glad that she did, because you don't see a lot of sisters do that. So I don't know, I gave her mad kudos. I don't it kind of remind me of Lady Khadijah, and so I was like, that's dope.
So not only did y'all get connected in a non-traditional way, you guys also took on another journey. How did you guys get about coming around the 90 day? How did you guys get involved with that?
I think it was during the pandemic when everyone was in quarantine. In 2020, the world was completely shut down. We were just stuck on television because we couldn't go outside. And I fell in love with 90 Day Fiance. I started watching it online. I started watching it on television. And I was like, I think around that same time, our borders were closed, and his lawyer advised us to file a K1 visa. So when I put it together, I was like, wait a minute, I am hooked on this television show. We are filing a K1 visa. I think it would be a good idea if we applied for the show. Of course, he shut it down immediately. And I keep pressing on it, like, come on, let's do it, let's do it, let's do it. Then eventually he yielded and give in.
So when you say eventually, how long was eventually? How long did it take?
It took a while, like almost a year. It took a while.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because the process took so long. Like originally they told me like it might be like 4 to 7 months.
Yeah.
And ended up being like 2 years, because of COVID down everything here in the States, but specifically there in Trinidad. So I don't know, like our paperwork got in the backlog or something, and but it took a long time. So in that process, it actually ended up working out because she had a lot of time to work on me, and I would travel all around the country and doing speaking and stuff, and I never heard of the show. So one day, while I was flying, I just, started binge watching some of the episodes. And, after the like 2-3 episodes, you kind of get like hooked, And, she like, so what do you think? I was like, no, I'm still not doing it. But
what's going to happen next?
What's that?
I said, you have to see what's happening next. Once you start watching it, you want to see what's going to happen next.
Yeah. Just also, I'm a very, very, very private person when it comes to like my family life and relationships and stuff like that. So I could be outwardly when it comes to like business, but when it comes to personal stuff, I'm pretty very, very private. So I know it took her a while to work on me, but she got her way. She usually gets her way.
So what was it like when you first met in Trinidad?
It was nice. Like I remember when I first saw him, he looked really nice, like a shining penny, My man had on nice shoes, clean shoes, a white tee, a gray pants with his luggage, looking like Mr. Fine, Mr. Fine and handsome. One thing I noticed about him was like, wait a minute. When I came close, I was like, this man have a very small head, because my head was looking like a big moon compared to his own. Because, looking at his pictures on the internet, it looks like he has this big, long face, right? But when I saw him in person, I saw this little tiny head. I was like, oh my God, my head is bigger than yours.
Yeah, I was going to say that. She's like, had a small head and small ears. And yeah. Also, as she mentioned, I had t-shirt, pants. Oh no, there's a misconception like I had suits on while I was in Trinidad. There was no suits in Trinidad. I had jeans and pants on, t-shirts the entire time. So, but she said I was like a shiny penny.
I think you stood out. Yeah, you stood out in the airport.
Okay, excellent.
That's a good thing. That was a good check. Brownie point. He showed up looking good.
Very good.
All right. So, Naima, did you want to say something?
No, I was gonna. I'm laughing because I'm thinking about the show as we're sitting here, and I'm like, don't, no. But just kind of like thinking about the show, and like, I personally want to know about what was up with the Airbnb in Trinity.
Oh yeah.
So so as I was going to Trinidad, I was, I'm not from there, so I was like, hey, what about this Airbnb, this Airbnb, like tell me like, So she said, oh yeah, yeah, stay there. So so I end up staying at this Airbnb. I get there and I noticed that it's not but I'm like, maybe that's just how Trinidad is. So lo and behold, like there's barbed wire fencing around, like I'm like in this complex area. And me being me, I travel all the time. Maybe I get this from my dad. Like I walk everywhere. Like I walk around neighborhood and everything, just etc. And I was walking around. She's like, "What are you at?" I was like, "I'm outside, just walking around." You better get back into your room, like So it was a bad area, I guess, so to speak. But I really didn't know until her mom mentioned it. Like, Shaeeda, why do you have him saying it? No, such. So then I was like, oh, okay. So you like to play jokes? I was like, okay. I'm gonna get you back. You don't know when it's gonna come, but I'm gonna get you. So it was all out of fun, no malicious, nothing.
Yeah.
But we kind of like to joke with each other.
Okay. So, well, Bilal, you kind of seem
Great.
to be well known to the viewers, right? So, as the prankster or someone who plays a lot, so how many? So many have basically criticized you about the prank, right? Being a red flag and all of that stuff. Um, and not knowing maybe that this baby was a little bit of a prank prior to. So how do you feel about that? How are you all kind of like reconciling that? Going to Trinity, kind of like, oh yeah, I was staying in the area, and then when she came to America, it's kind of like kind of mirroring the situation. How are you all managing that?
Yeah, I think a lot of times, well, what it feels like what I keep hearing everybody keep saying, "Oh, you test her, you test her." It really wasn't really a test. I mean, there was like, as I mentioned, there was a small element, very small, of a test. But I mean, I mentioned the word joke and prank like a million and one times, but you just keep hearing the word test. I probably say that maybe twice. And but it was a lot of layers there. One, she always would say, "Oh, I'm with you, ride or die," and just to kind of see, like, oh, like, is that, but more importantly, it was just like, hey, just to see, like, I'm a jokester, I'm a prankster, so just to kind of do that. But also, it was very sentimental too, because as I talked about, that's just like coming from where I came from, so it's really showing her like the essence of who I am, what makes Bilal Bilal. And that home, not only childhood home, but it was a home that my father built with his bare hands. And the van that I picked her up was my father's work van. So it was very sentimental because my father's no longer here. And it was a way to like kind of introduce her to him in some form or fashion before I introduced her to the rest of the family. So took her to the home, and she was probably there maybe 10, 12 hours tops, and she endured, being there. But took her to the real home, and I think I made up for it when she got there.
Yeah, but that yoga studio show.
Yeah, nobody
Okay.
talks about any of that stuff.
Yes.
Like I take mental notes of things she always talks about she wants. So I did a yoga studio for her in the house, and just a plethora of like gifts and things like that she always said she wanted, and et cetera, et cetera. So had those things for her in her walk-in closet and in the bedroom and everything like that. But a lot of that stuff kind of, didn't necessarily, because on the show we probably film I don't know, 8-10 hours, so it kind of gets shortened to
Right.
5 to 7 minutes. So some stuff don't make it, unfortunately. So
Right.
So Shaeeda, did you have any clues that this was not Bilal's real home? You expressed that you came over 3,000 miles to be with Bilal and your expectations and childhood home.
Well, in order for me to come to America, I needed to have Bilal's home address, right? So when I have his home address, I don't know America, so I don't know which part this address specifically is supposed to be.
Right.
So when I showed up, I said, okay, this is his home address because I needed it to travel to United States. So when he showed me the old home, I was like, this cannot be it. In my mind, I was saying that, but you see, when I slept there, I was like, this is getting too real. Like I had to sleep in the home. That's what made me think. I remember sleeping and remembering the address that I came with, and I said, "This is the address for this home," because I don't know the area. I don't know how it's supposed to look, So it's when I slept there, it got real for me. I was like, "Okay, this is like too real."
The funny thing is that when she woke up, she said like this was some of the best sleep she ever had.
Jet lag
In the
sleep.
bed, yeah.
Jet lag sleep.
So everybody talks about the house, but the bed was very, very comfortable.
I could have slept on a cardboard that night. I was just so tired from traveling.
But he's gonna get his food. I did have some sleep.
Right. And what did your family think about the whole prank thing and about, I don't know, the whole situation?
My mother is a very humble lady. She taught us you could live in an ant's hole with a man once you love him. Once you love with a man, you could live in an ant's hole. But I was always a daughter, not really willing to live in the
You
aunt's
said
hole.
live where?
In an aunt's hole.
Okay. I thought you said
What?
hole.
No, ants.
Yeah.
Like ants, like insects. Yeah. So my mother is that type of person, but I am the opposite. I used to tell her back then, I'm not living in no aunt's hole with a man. So after the jokes and she saw the prank, she got serious. She was like, Shy, not everything is about material things, you know.
Right.
Be with him, build with him, work with him, see where it goes. You know, and she gave me some good advice.
Yeah. Yeah.
Excellent.
That's good.
Excellent.
And she said, if you don't appreciate it, bring it back.
And then she did say, if I don't appreciate it, bring my backside home.
Mhm. Okay. That's good.
Okay. But I don't think any backside is going home right now, right?
Gotta watch the show.
Gotta watch the show.
Yeah, I know. That's what we gotta make sure that people are watching the show. So we're gonna continue to do that. But how has Shaeeda, tell us about, of course, the prank that you played on Bilal when you came to visit your country, but how has all of this kind of impacted your relationship?
When he came to my country, he stayed in a hotspot area, right? It was close to the sightseeing, so I tried to overlook it. Just like, you know what, put him somewhere where he could go to the beach, visit the malls, go to the grocery store. But it was in a hotspot area. I didn't want him to know that, because he don't know Trinidad. It's my mother and the big mouth, she came and she said, how you can have the man staying in this place, And she was like, Mommy, don't say anything. She was like, how you can have him staying here, So
I was putting two and two together. Like literally, like I think the day before, I picked up a paper. I took a picture of it, so I have the paper. And it was like the bloodiest day in Trinidad. I didn't say the bloodiest, but it was like a bloody day in Trinidad. Like they had cops that got killed and everything, like nearby. I was just like, it's real over here. Like yeah, about that life.
Wow.
So when he went back home, he did his research because and he Googled the area he was staying, and he was like, Shaeeda, you had me staying in this hotspot area, and I was just like, oh, it was close to the beach, it was close, it was downtown, easy access. He was like, yeah, but it's dangerous, And I was like, that's why I told you not to go outside and wait until I come,
So it don't sound like it don't sound like you're going to be trying to catch a flight back to Trinidad anytime soon. So of course we know to try to stay tuned in with that. But hey, Shaeeda, I know that there's been like a lot of backlash, since the show started with Bilal, and you had to create this post where you were talking about your man. You were boosting him up, letting people know who the real Bilal is. Tell us a little bit about that.
You see, what happened, Bilal and I could be like, I will do this for my best friend. He and I don't even have to be in a relationship for me to put a post about him. He could be my friend. We could part ways and be like, you know what, I wish you all the best. He wished me all the best. Just because people are, supporting me, I don't want to see people attack him to the point where they want to, racial threats, racial slurs, attacks on his children. I don't want to see that happen to anyone. So my responsibility is like, okay, if it's going to affect your livelihood, your job, when you're getting called out your name, when your job is looking at you as, something like, I don't want to give too much, but it was just so much for him to deal with. And right. I felt like it was my responsibility because I would have done it for anyone. I don't have to be with someone to do this for them. I hate bullying. If you know me, I hate bullying on all degrees. I don't accept it whatsoever, and I hate racism. So when I see it reach to that point where somebody's getting called out of your name for something like a prank, I know if the crowd would have been like, Bilal, you overreacted when she tapped you in the head. I'm disappointed. I wouldn't mind that, but the racism and the hateful and the threats towards his job, that's when I had to put on my foot, and I would have done it for anyone.
So why don't you share with us just a little bit, give us a little snippet for our listeners on what did you have to say about Bilal? What was that, that thing that shined the light on him that says this is who he really is?
Okay, let me just go quickly. And I was just like, ever since I've known Bilal, he has been a very sweet, caring, sensitive, kind-hearted soul who gives me whatever I want, and I'll do the same for him. No, he's not a narcissist, and he is not controlling because he's Muslim. But because perception is reality, we have been conditioned to perceive a Black man scared, illiterate, deadbeat, dependent, and struggling. If that's not what we see, then yes, he has to be a narcissist. So let's destroy him and humble him to remind him of what he has to be. Stop trying to defame him with perceptions. So I just felt like it was going a little too far. I didn't mind if people could have condemned him in a way, like say, "Hey, you overreacted. I'm disappointed in you. Bilal, he could do better," but it was going too far, where it implicated his livelihood, his children, and I had to put my foot down.
Yeah. Stand up for your man, sure. Okay. All of that. Okay. At one point, let me see. Yeah, at what point during the season, wait. I'm sorry, I'm trying to make sure everything is right. So we know that you all are getting some positive press and some negative press. How has that affected your relationship in a good way? I know that sounds strange, right? But in a good way, it can affect the relationship. How is it affected in a good way?
I would say just in relates to us, just like she mentioned, like even if you're friends, like things didn't work out, that it just gives you an opportunity to see who's in your corner. Like if a person, whether you're in a relationship, intimate relationship, or you just cordial as friends, when you have somebody in your corner, it's like, hey, like I know, some of the negative stuff that's going on, what you hear, like, people, they obviously they don't know you. Sometimes people, they get wrapped up and, they have their own stuff going on in their life. So they're watching a TV show, that, remember, at the end of the day, is a TV show. So, which is meant to entertain. So they kind of get wrapped up to the degree where, and then they will reach out and spew hate and all these different things. But unfortunately, it's typically because something in their own life isn't necessarily where they want it to be at, so they may lash out, which is very unfortunate, because you do see, a lot of, cyber online bullying, et cetera, which is, I think, the issue that we see right now in society as a whole, where we see, things happen at schools and all that stuff, is because this, from a psychological standpoint, mental illness is real, so there's just some issues that sometimes people have, and they want to put it out to other people. So, but when you have somebody in your corner, I think that helps build you guys, and it helps, just let you know, like, hey, you're not alone, you have somebody to talk to if need be, vice versa.
Okay, so we know that normally week by week, look, you guys are getting ready to come on in a little bit. We got about a little over 30 minutes before the show comes on tonight. But at the end of the show, it usually shows a little clip on tune in for next week. So you get a little snippet. Now,
I can't wait.
I know, right?
I'm getting off this show to go watch the show. Okay.
I just want to say one thing, and I've said it in multiple interviews. Mm-hmm. We are a real couple going through real problems. If I put a camera in everyone's house, you're gonna see so much. You're gonna see so many things that you never think that is happening. Mm-hmm. So we are just a real. The show, you would see us. Getting to know each other, having differences. It's like, not everything would be like, how do you say, rainbows and butterflies. They're gonna have moments where you're learning about his culture, he's learning about mine, he's telling me how he does it in his country, and I am also expressing how I do it from my country, Mm-hmm. So I just want people to understand that, yes, we are a real couple who have real problems.
That's right. That's right.
One thing, Shaeeda, is also often that, like, this is a social experiment where, mm-hmm. You have two different people from different cultures, backgrounds, etc., country, coming together, and you're trying to figure out everything. You're trying to, you know, just the regular things that you do in any relationship, but on top of that, you're adding on to, all those other different things. So I think you have 90 days to get it done.
Get it all done.
Right.
And then you got cameras in place.
Yeah. So let me ask a question too. You talked about the different cultures, but you all are both Muslim. So how has that unified you in terms of showing up, in terms of you addressing your difficulties or things like that?
I love that.
Well, we are, although we are Muslim, we have that unity when it comes to Islam and understanding, but we still have, Islam is universal, and people tend to stick with their culture, whether they're from Malaysia, there's Muslim, but they have their own culture. Trinidad Muslims, a different culture. I realize African American Muslims have their own culture, although we are all Black. As being a Caribbean Muslim and an African American Muslim, I realize we still have cultural differences, although we have a lot of similarities. But yeah.
I love that. I love that. If I can just jump in and ask a question really quick. I know that, people, they're looking at it from the perspective, of course, you all are being Muslim and, you all are taking 90 days to figure out if you're going to be married or not. Then there's another couple that is also Muslim on, one of the persons is Muslim on the show also. Do you think that maybe they're kind of like showing two different perspectives of Islam, or like, what do you really think about that perspective? Because I think I have my own little 2 cents that I think about. But Muhammad and his fiance are also on there, and it's kind of a different dichotomy, I would say. But it is still, some snippets of Islam. What do you think about that perspective, since you are also on the show?
Yeah, like we're not the first Muslims that have been on the show. There's been other Muslims before us that's been on the show, and even there was another couple at one time as well. Whereas us, one of the reasons actually we thought about even doing a show was that we never seen anybody on the show who were born and raised Muslim from the diaspora, and we wanted to, show like a different aspect of the religion. Two practicing Muslims who pray 5 times a day, who fast, who never drunk, who don't eat pork, who don't do all this,
Also, to practicing Muslims who is not from the Middle East. We tend to see
from diaspora. So to show that aspect of we're not, we're practicing, but at the same time we're always constantly trying to get better. We're not perfect, we have our flaws. You'll see me, with my multiple flaws. She's I don't think you have any flaws.
Oh, please. I'm a walking train wreck. You just have to continue to watch this show to see it.
But but to show all that whole dynamic, we for us, we're again, we're practicing, so we made a point to make sure that we know that she was going to be living here, that we do our Nikah beforehand, etc. So all those different things.
That's neat.
Video when we were in Trinidad, people were like, "Oh man, she's drinking alcohol. She's never drunk ever before in her life."
Right.
Ginger. There's something that is
a ginger drink.
So just to show those different things.
Yeah. So because you all did have a Nikah, you all are still doing the 90 days.
Yes.
Right? Yeah. So I think that's important for people to know, like, hey, our intention is still to try to get to the marriage finish line, but that we still did do the Islamic approach to this, so that people are not thinking this kind of like, oh, willy-nilly. I think I saw some comments, some foolish comments,
Yeah, I've seen a lot. And just to clarify that too, when you take on, when you do a Nikah, in the eyes of God, right? That means you take on all the roles and responsibilities and everything that goes with that. So the moment that happened, I've been one to provide for her, protect her, maintain her, and all those things. So it's nothing to do with oh, well, you guys could be together now, and this is no, that's not how, you know, that's not the true Islamic way, right? You gotta, because at the end of the day, God is, you got to answer to. So let's make a point to say that, because I've read some things too about.
But I so appreciate that perspective. So thank you for sharing that.
Yes. Thank you. Okay, so as I was saying earlier, when you get ready to show the clip, when they get ready to show the clip for the next week, so we kind of seen a little bit of something out there that's supposed to air tonight, and it looks like you guys are on a date. And there was a little bit of a conversation, and I know Shaeeda was kind of expressing her love to you, Bilal, and she was just really kind of pouring it out. And I noticed that you kind of had some facial expressions, and it was just making me wonder, like, I know we only see a little bit, but have you expressed yourself and your feelings to Shaeeda at all, during the show?
Yeah, I wear my I don't know, my emotions on my sleeve. Like I express to her very often, the love and the just how much she means to me on the show and off the show. And kind of goes back a little bit to what I mentioned earlier, not to kind of go too much in detail, but you can film a lot and then what they actually show, so I'm trying not to get in trouble too much, but
right.
Let me say something.
One thing to answer your question, 100%, definitely express. And I've told her multiple times, like even things that I do that I'm sorry about, like for overreacting when she, the infamous, slap on the.
No, I do this.
She says a little.
On Robert's head.
She says a little,
Or you just rub it.
And the funny thing is, it was actually 3 times. We didn't show all of that.
Yeah, I do that to him now when I'm upset.
And let me add this too. I'm a movie guy, so a lot of things I do, comes from this. I'm a movie guy. How can I say the prank? You ever watched the movie Coming to America? Ding, right? Not saying I'm a prank or king or anything like that, but that's a movie I think many people love. But there was no backlash when Eddie Murphy did it. Just saying.
Right.
Just saying.
This is real life.
Saying. But no, the point is that and she hit me in the back of the head. There was a quote that I made, and I was like, watch your tone, keep your hands to yourself. That was a movie that came from a movie called Players Club. After dude got smacked in the back of his head, he said that. So I'm just saying, like, like I may throw out a lot of different movie quotes, whatever. If you don't get it, I'm sorry. Just don't get mad,
Right.
But
it's a TV show. At the end of the day, again, it's a TV show. Although you all are, reenacting, different scenes from other movies, people may not know that. Yeah. But again, even if it's your relationship, it's you all's humor. And so I think that, people may dial it back a little bit, they're getting a little in their feelings like, oh, he did this to her, blah, blah. It's still your relationship. If you all are okay with it, I'm okay with it. Thumbs up. You know what I'm saying? So I think that that's what's most important.
There's a lot of dry humor. I have a lot of dry humor,
Right.
So some things may not land all the time. Just like I'm not a comedian, but like any comedian, you may do a joke that don't go very well. So, but I apologize to her at that moment as well. But some things are shown, some things are.
Right. Okay, let's ask about the
wait a minute, let me say this real quick. One thing I haven't said during the whole show is Bilal and I are actually siblings, and I know some people know that, some people don't. But as Bilal and Shaeeda were talking, and we were talking about that day, it just reminded me something that people don't know. And Bilal's I know he's heard me say this in the past, but I used to always watch him. He's very romantic. He's a very romantic loving person. So as Shaeeda was talking about him, it just made me think about him. And I used to look at him. I had a lot of single years, and I used to look at him, and he's my younger brother. And I'd be like, man, like, whatever man I have, when I find him, I want him to be like this, And so, we haven't got a chance to see that yet. Hopefully maybe they'll show some of that. But he is very romantic. Any and everything he'll think of, and I'm just like, wow. So.
Oh yeah. that whole episode with the yoga room, honey, and all the gifts, and honey, that was just a showering of love, right? No, I don't know any man that's gonna be like, let me make my baby a yoga retreat. Maybe I'm gonna take her on a yoga retreat, but not make her one for the house. So yeah, we always see that already. It's beautiful. I love that.
It's interesting you said it because I don't think I really don't read too many comments. She told me not to read stuff because. But I don't think I've seen anybody mention anything about any of that. I think a lot of times
people kind of it's stuck on their own thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we see it. We see it, my brother. We see it.
All right, let's get to the other popular question.
Where the cheering at?
I know, where the cheering at? Look. What we gonna have some cheering?
We're gonna have some cheering. I know that came up kind of like in the last episode, and people were like, I think was it Shaeeda, you were talking to your sister about it?
Yeah,
she got pretty emotional.
Yeah, you got pretty
emotional today, but we want you to talk to us a little bit.
Well, what do you want me to talk about again? Can you repeat it?
Like, did you guys actually talk about, you wanting to have children before you came? Because I know that's something that some people talk about. Like, isn't this something that you talk about before you get together, before you come over from so far away? And, how do you feel about children? Have you always wanted to have children? Like, just share with us a little bit about that.
Initially when I met Bilal, like when I now started talking to him, I kind of like never I put children on the back burner. Like as you guys see in the clip in the commercial, when I said I told you that I didn't want kids, but that tend to change, So as we started to talk more and more, I realized sometimes as a woman it just hits you like you just know who you really want to have kids with. So I was what? I kind of I
want to have his baby.
I want it's like I kind of want to have children. I know, ladies, I'm not trying to trap him. I genuinely do love children. I know people think I'm trying to trap him when I say I want kids, but I always love kids. My sisters have a whole set of kids. I'm always around my nieces and my nephews.
Okay, so that's still hanging on the cliff. We'll accept that. We'll accept that answer. We're still hanging on the cliff as to we know you love kids, but we'll keep continuing to watch the show so we can see if the children are coming into the purview.
Yeah, if more will come, because of course you've inherited 2 children, Bilal's children. So I also wanted to ask about that. Like, how was it? We kind of got to see a little bit on TV when you guys first met. They wanted to play games, and you were kind of like, I don't know, but then you kind of did it anyway. How have things been going with the children?
It's been nice, but first meeting his kids, it's always awkward. Like I am just like so embarrassing. When I'll meet someone and they stand up there and be like, say absolutely nothing, It's like, that's bad manners. You have to stop that. So I'm still trying to change, when I meet people, be more social, ask them if they want to do something rather than stay there and be mute, So, but now it has changed a little bit more since I've, been getting to know the kids. We have been playing games and just getting to know each other.
Excellent. All right. So now, Bilal, you're a very fashionable guy. And some people say you're being flashy and acting like you have lots of money. And, people are calculating your clothes and your car and all this other stuff. But you say that you're kind of like an average guy. Kind of explain that a little bit to us.
Yeah, I think that, most people, want to look nice. I think, I know in our religion, we're taught to look nice. It's actually a command, wear your most beautiful garments, when you're out, when you go to the mosque, etc. So, looking nice is something that, I think, like, I don't know, I like, even when I was, an athlete, and one of my favorite players, actually my favorite athlete, there was a quote he used to say, like, if you look good, you feel good. And if you feel good, you play good. If you play good, they pay good, right? So it was just a mantra that, so no matter what your industry is, if I was a doctor, I'll be wearing scrubs, but I will try to make it look nice. If I was, firefighter, I would have my uniform on. So wearing suits is just my uniform because what I do, I'm a realtor.
No, that's say that, my brother. Shoot, that's your suit. Okay, that's your uniform.
Yeah, so it's a uniform, so it's not to like be braggadocious or anything like that. It's unfortunate though, is because when other people do it who don't look like me, who wear a nice uniform suit and nice dress shoes, maybe a nice watch, this or that, not seen as flashy. But when someone like myself, wears something. If you notice, you never heard me say I was rich, I was wealthy, I was
Right.
those words never ever came out of my mouth.
Right.
And you would never know if I was or wasn't, just because
Right.
just the way I move and act and etc. But I will always, act with humility, and decency. And I believe true wealth isn't measured just when it comes to material gain. It's about
Right.
having. You heard me use the term success, and success is relative. It means different things for different people.
Right.
And success for me is having buckets filled in different areas of life. Like what good is having money but your health is bad, right?
Right.
So fitness and my spirituality, my religion, my family life. So all these different buckets, having those feel like that's, yeah, monetarily, but that's what success looks like for me. So if you hear me say, I've reached a certain level of success, that's what I'm talking about. I'm not just talking about material gain, because material stuff can come and go, you know. Yeah.
Right. And I can relate to you also too when you said, as a realtor, you dressing in a business suit and your uniform, because as somebody that worked in the corporate world, I understand that, you have your uniform and you want to look good. I mean, and I think just as African American people or African people of African descent, we're just creative anyway. It comes to our clothes or whatever. We don't necessarily like to look drab, so it's nothing wrong, it's nothing wrong with that on that note.
Yeah, I think it's okay to look professional,
Yeah, professional, and if we add a little color to it,
yeah,
a little,
you can put some
that's
swag
fine
to it.
too.
Yeah, put some swag to it.
Yeah. That's fine too. That's how we roll in other areas of life anyway. So it's nothing wrong with that. So what do you guys predict in the future with this season? Will the viewers begin to love you both as a couple, individually? We're just so excited to see what's coming. What do you predict?
Well, you have to continue to watch the show to see what happens. We could be sitting down and be like good friends, like, hey, buddy, give me a bump. So you have to continue to watch this show to see what happens.
It's also I think you're gonna go through, it's like you're on a ride. You're on an emotional ride, roller coaster, like as we were on, and you're seeing, different dynamics and things that come up, and you're going to thinking the roller coaster is over with, and then next thing you know, it's not, psych, right? And you got to go backwards, So like there's different things that is going on, and obviously we know what we actually did on the show, but we also don't necessarily know what's actually going to be shown. Some stuff,
Right.
Oh yeah, that's important to know.
But yeah, it's I think you're all in for a show, a roller coaster show, right?
Which I think is great. Yes, and I think it's great too, because then it shows the true nature of relationships, So, that you have different obstacles, how you navigate around those obstacles, through those obstacles. I mean, that's real life. So, I mean, I think it's great, what you all doing and being able to represent and everything. So, good luck to you. Good luck to you.
Thank you.
Yes. And we are praying for you. We are here to support you. All those haters gonna hate, whatever. Players gonna play, all that good stuff. So
it's so funny that was a song like we was just listening to yesterday. I don't know, man. I never experienced this before, because I've been a pretty likable guy, so getting this side of it is like, was pretty like wow, you know. I would say though it did kind of like man when I was start getting it from like my sisters, you know, like black because I've been holding it down for you all like forever,
Mhm.
you know, and I was just like, man, like y'all should know me, you know, like, you know, and so but at the end of the day, you know, uh again, just watch the show. Remember, it is a TV show,
Show.
and
Yeah.
so you know,
Yeah.
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 I got
Yeah,
I
people
got one
sometimes
question. Bilal, I know a lot of times you wear clothes. I'm sorry. A lot of times you wear clothes. I see
oh,
black.
you, my sisters, you know, I'm talking about my black women, my queens.
That's right, black women. And so I see you got black on your shirt. What's the other word under there? I can't see it. And I know you're
It says black Muslim and fly.
Black
That's
Muslim and fly.
right.
Okay. I love it. I love it.
Got the little swag up in there.
Mm-hmm. Okay,
Excellent.
well,
Excellent.
we definitely appreciate you guys coming on. You know, like Naima said, we love you guys. We support you. We're going to be here. We're going to follow the show till the end, see what happens. We wish you guys the best. And we thank you guys for coming on. We may have to get you to come back another time.
Thank you. Thank you
Yeah,
so
maybe
much.
at the
Sister
end of the
Naima, Sister
season.
Nafisa, Sister Nefertari, thank you so much. You
Look
guys
at
look so amazing. It's just to show how black women, not flashy, but it just style, you know, stylish and fly. Like,
Yeah, not flexing.
Yes,
not,
I see that.
like you just.
That's how we roll. That's how we roll.
love
You
it.
know?
Okay.
Of course, China too, right?
Right.
That's what they said. You're a reflection of
Oh
you.
gosh, if I knew you guys were gonna look so good, I would have, you know, I would have upped my game, you know.
Oh, I be seeing you. I be seeing you styling out there. You be styling out there too. I see you.
Next time, Nefertari, give
Okay.
me a memo to sign up, please. I would have definitely put on something purple and elaborate, you know. I come here looking like simple Susie, you know, feeling like, okay, this lady's looking so stunning, and I'm looking like simple Susie.
No, you're looking beautiful. Alhamdulillah.
Mhm.
So we want to go ahead and close out. Thank you so much for the one-on-one with Bilal and Shaeeda. To like us on Facebook, subscribe to us on YouTube, and follow us on Instagram. And I believe we have one, if not season 5. It's about to be shut down again, going into season 6 later. Love you, Crown Nation, and we will see you next week. And if we got 2 minutes to get ready, shut it down, and go to watch. All right, we'll see you all next week. Peace out.
All right. Next week. Good night.
Assalamu
Assalamu
alaikum.
alaikum.